I don't even know where to start. It's been almost 3 weeks since it happened, and I still feel like my brain is in a fog. But I guess the start is the moment I opened my front door. It was a Friday. I had been working at a bank about 40 minutes away from home. Normally, I get home around 7 p.m., but that day, things wrapped up early, around 3 p.m. I didn't tell my husband I'd be home early because I thought it'd be a nice surprise. We could maybe have an early dinner, watch a movie, just spend some time together. We've been married for 4 years, together for almost 7. We met at a friend's barbecue, started dating pretty quick, and honestly, I thought we had a good relationship. Sure, we argued sometimes about bills or chores, but nothing I thought was serious. I loved him. I trusted him completely. Anyway, I pulled into the driveway, and right away I noticed a car I didn't recognize. It was a black Honda Civic, parked slightly crooked in front of our house. I thought maybe it was one of his friends from work. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The house was quiet except for some music, soft pop music, coming from the living room. I remember thinking, that's weird. He never plays music unless he's working. I walked into the living room, and that's when I saw it. Another woman sitting on my husband's lap. Not just sitting like a joke or for a photo. She was leaning into him, her arm around his neck. His hands were on her waist. Their heads were close, like they were whispering to each other. They didn't hear me at first. I just froze in the doorway for what felt like forever. Then he looked up and saw me. His face went pale. He didn't jump up immediately. He just stayed there for maybe 2 seconds, staring at me like he couldn't believe I was real. Then he stood up quickly, stepping away from her. The lady turned around, and I could see she was maybe mid-20s, short hair, wearing a polo shirt. She looked nervous and said the most cliché thing in the world. "It's not what it looks like." I just laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so stupid. I said, "Really? Then what exactly does it look like?" She didn't answer. My husband started crying immediately. He kept saying, "It's not what you think. Please, I can explain." I told him, "Okay, explain." He said they were just talking and having a drink, and somehow she ended up sitting on his lap. I pointed to the coffee table. There was an empty wine bottle, 2 glasses, and her phone lying next to his phone. It looked like they'd been sitting there for a while. I asked the lady to leave. She didn't argue. She just grabbed her phone and walked out. He followed her to the door, and I could hear him whispering something to her before he came back. I went to the bedroom and started packing a bag. He followed me, crying and begging me not to leave. He kept saying it was just kissing, and I didn't sleep with her. I told him I didn't care if it was just kissing, he still crossed the line. I can't trust him now. I left and went to stay with my brother. Over the next few days, he blew up my phone with texts and calls. Some were angry, saying I was overreacting. Others were apologetic, saying he was drunk and it just happened. Then he switched to guilt-tripping, telling me I was throwing away our marriage over one mistake. My brother told me to block him for a while, so I could think clearly. I didn't block him, but I stopped replying. After a week, he sent me a long message admitting he had been talking to this lady for months. She was a coworker from his office. He said it started innocently, texting about work, then joking, then flirting. He claims that day was the first time they ever touched, and he just got carried away. I didn't believe him. I think he was downplaying it to save himself. I started going over all the little things I ignored before. How he started guarding his phone the last few months. How he suddenly cared more about how he looked before work. The nights he stayed late at the office, saying he had meetings. It all makes sense now. My mom says I should try to work it out because marriage is hard. My friends are split. Some say I should give him another chance. Others say once the trust is gone, it's over. The truth is, I still love him. And that's what's messing me up the most. I hate what he did, but I miss him at the same time. It's like grieving someone who's still alive. 3 weeks later, he showed up at my brother's house. He cried on the porch, saying, "I'll quit my job. I'll never talk to her again. I'll go to counseling. Please. I can't lose you." I said, "You didn't think about losing me when you were with her. You thought about you. And now, I can't look at you without seeing her." He cried harder. I made a mistake, I said.
No.
A mistake is spilling coffee. You made a choice. More than once. He then left. I don't know what to do yet, but I do know this. Every time I close my eyes, I see her sitting on his lap like she belonged there, and I don't think I can ever unsee it. I don't know if time will ever make me forget that image, but I do know one thing. I'm not the same woman who walked into that living room 3 weeks ago. Something inside me broke that day, and no apology, no counseling, no promises can put it back the way it was. This morning, I called him and told him I'd be filing for divorce. He cried, begged, swore he would change, but his voice sounded far away, like he was already a memory I'd been holding onto too long. I hung up. I don't hate him. I don't even wish him bad. But I can't live my life wondering what's real and what's a lie. So, I'm starting over. It hurts like hell, but I'm walking away because sometimes love isn't enough, and staying would be worse than leaving. A month later, I heard from a mutual friend. He quit his job after rumors spread around the office. The lady? She ended up getting married to another man. My ex-husband moved to a different city. He sent me one last message before I finally blocked his number. I lost my best friend. I lost my home. I lost everything because of one stupid thing. But to me, it wasn't one stupid thing. It was the one thing that made everything else meaningless. They say trust is built in drops but lost in buckets. And when it's gone, sometimes there's no bringing it back.